We go back to the year 1881. In May of this year, a baby boy is born in Salonika, the son of a customs official called Ali Riza Bey, and his wife, Subeda Hanim. The parents decide to call him Mustafa. Salonika, which was founded in the year 315 before Christ and named after the sister of Alexander the Great, was the former capital of the Thessalonica Empire. And Thessalonica probably gave young Mustafa a feeling for historical greatness quite early on. The fortified military harbour, the imposing buildings, and the hustle and bustle in the streets and squares still hinted at the former importance the city had had. Politically speaking, Salonika belonged to the time of the Ottoman Empire, which was founded in 1299 by Osman Bey and the Osman dynasty. Osman Bey himself stemmed from the so-called Oghuzan, the Turkish warrior people who had their roots back in Asia Minor. This aggressive nomadic people called themselves Turks or Türks, and the name came from the word Türke, meaning the strong. Osman's successors swept into the Balkans and captured Constantinople in 1453, formerly Byzance, adopting the city as the capital of their empire. The era in which young Mustafa was born marked the blackest period of the Ottoman Empire. The former control over European territory, which once stretched as far as Vienna, had dwindled away to a small strip of territory from Albania via Epirus and Macedonia to Thrace. To the south, where conquered territory had stretched as far as Central Africa and the eastern parts of the Mediterranean, only Iraq, Lebanon, Palestine, and parts of the Arab Peninsula remained under Ottoman administration. Mustafa, who lives with his parents in the Muslim quarter of Salonika called Ahmed Subashi, is blonde and has blue eyes like his mother. Following the deaths of the first 3 children, the parents take great care of the newly born child and the 3 sisters who follow. The lad develops into a quiet loner who observes and analyzes everything going on around him intensely. Attaining school age, Mustafa attends a religious school because his mother wants it. But a few weeks later, his father advises him to switch to the Semzi Efendi school, which uses modern teaching methods. And it was here that he gets an excellent education. Following the early death of a husband and one of 2 daughters, Mustafa's mother is forced to carry on alone. The family lived with an uncle in the country for a short time. Then, just a few months later, the family moved to an aunt who lived in Salonika. Mustafa attended a state school until he was able to pass the entrance examination for one of the new military academies in 1893, the so-called Rushdia, and was accepted. A teacher of mathematics who noticed the unusual talents of the young man gave him the additional name Kemal, the knowledgeable one. The academy had the declared aim of providing a broad-based modern education to young officer cadets who were expected to provide new impulses for the old-fashioned Osman army. The Germans keenly supported these aims. Colmar Freiherr von Goltz, an experienced veteran of the German War of Independence and a military historian of considerable note, advised the Turks on the important issues that cropped up. He died of fever he contracted on the front in 1916. The Turks, who still consider him to be the immortal master tactician of the Osman army, honored him with the title Goltz Pasha. His grave can be found today in the German cemetery on a piece of high ground near the Bosphorus. His medical advisers were of the opinion that he should withdraw from daily political life. The main part of his time was spent in his villa in an area called Floria in Istanbul. He spent his time watching over the bringing up of his 2 adoptive children, met with guests, and attempted to regain his health. As his health continued to deteriorate, the Turkish leader drew up his last will and testament on the 5th of September 1938. He left his entire estate to his party. The monies gained from the administration of his estate were to go to his adopted children and allow the children of his old comrade in arms, İsmet İnönü, to go to university. His health deteriorated to such a degree that his doctors could no longer help him. He died just after 9 o'clock on the 10th of November 1938 in the Dolmabahce Palace in Istanbul. A truly great personality had come to the end of his life. But his ideals and ideas live on. His struggle for national freedom and his untiring effort towards an independent Turkey will not be forgotten in the face of Islamic fundamentalism.
Uçurum kenarında yıkık bir ülke.
A new documentary has Turkey talking. It's about the country's founder, Mustafa Kemal Atatu. Ataturk, whose name means father of the Turks, is revered in Turkey. His portrait hangs in every office, tea shop, and schoolroom. Some would say he is almost godlike.
He created a people and a country which for thousands of years under the control of strict religious beliefs and turned into a westernized society, which is a miracle.
Ataturk's status is so untouchable that criticizing his memory is a crime under Turkish law. And until now, he has been portrayed as a bronze hero enshrined in statues. But this film, called Mustafa, shows him as a real person with human weaknesses, a rare and risky endeavor.
We know him as a big hero, as a human being. We know not much about him. So this film reflects a man with his disappointments, his victories, a failed husband, and a little child.
Director Can Dündar drew on a wide selection of Ataturk's diaries and letters that have been closed in military archives for decades and never before seen by the public. The film began showing on October 29th, National Day, in more than 200 movie theaters around Turkey. But in a country where official history is kept under lock and key, the film drew a frenzy of angry reactions from people vowing to boycott it.
I think there are certain scenes and statements that taint the image of Ataturk. I haven't seen the movie myself, but this is what I heard. That's why I really do not want to see it.
They said he was smoking all the time, was left alone, was a so-called dictator. These are, of course, the things that bother me.
But others say the mere fact that the film was able to show the man behind the personality cult says a lot about how far Turkey has come in the last 10 years.
I think it is a beautiful movie. It reflects personal things about Ataturk. I think it's super. I liked it very, very, very much. I cannot understand those who criticize it either. After all, it presents us a different side of Ataturk.
The film's composer, Goran Bregović, whose score for the film was inspired by Ataturk's early life in the Balkans, agrees.
I think we didn't so much of the movies about leaders like Ataturk that are that personal, like this movie. I hope that people will like it. I know that it's difficult.
But at this special screening at the Dolmabahce Palace, where Ataturk died and where many go to commemorate him, the audience seemed to enjoy it.